Welcome back to the Doggone Truth about rescue. We took yet again another quick break, but not too long. It was July when we last spoke and met, and now it's only August, so not terrible. At the fall schedule, I think we'll get back on track a little bit better. But no big surprise here. It's myself, Rita Napaloo,
Hi.
and of course, our favorite and most well-known guest, Jennifer Delsky.
Although I'm still not your top podcast guest.
You are. You did get one, Jen.
I did. I beat everybody else. Are you sure?
Yes, you
I'm
did.
number one. Okay.
Yes.
Who was the competing one?
I don't know.
We'll let you know after we look at the stats if Sheila can look up now.
It was hurtful. I'm not going to lie. I feel like I have a lot to contribute, and I do. I contribute the most. So I feel like I should be number one. Hey, did you guys see we just celebrated maybe like 4 days ago was our very first podcast 3 years ago?
I did see you post that.
I did. I have to go back and look.
How special is that? Literally sitting in the little gray barn cuddle room, Cy sitting in pee, Josie and Bailey wandering around, and all the background noise everywhere. And pretty amazing.
It's not you. But
it's not me. Who is it?
It was our episode on Big Hearts, Bigger Impact, How We Fund the Mission.
Oh, that's just because people want to learn how we raise money. So if you put that title on one of my podcasts, I'm going to win.
That one had 4,300 downloads. The next closest one was only 2,900 at Fall Fireside Chat. And then Wednesday is in third.
You know what?
Third place.
We need to up our game, ladies.
Okay. Where do you want to start? We got Oz with the tiny homes. We had the Golden Gala. We have Wichita updates. And I took Kingston for a walk and want to know how you guys are handling this excessive heat.
Well, first and foremost, the heat is horrific. To anybody that lives in the Midwest, we're in Kansas, like the heat index is 105. And, you know, that kind of ties into Osawatomie and Kansas City, Missouri, our Homestead East out there, all of our locations. You cannot safely walk your dog outside, and you can't play with them outside. You have to worry about, especially our old dogs, our heartworm positive dogs, you know, any dogs that have any type of ailment, even the healthiest ones are at risk for heat stroke. And it affected us earlier. We lost a dog who had gone on a doggy date. Why can't I remember his name? We need to edit this part out. It's not Patrick.
When did this happen?
Guys, it's not Patrick. What's his name? I always wanted to call him Patrick, but that wasn't his name.
In your heart, it was Patrick.
But
by lost, do you mean like ran away or lost as up to heaven?
By lost, it's up to heaven. He had breathing issues. So anytime he would get excited, big, beautiful blockhead pity. We're talking 100 pounds. Why can't I remember his name? Yeah, he came to us and he was a stray in Miami County, and we brought him into our shelter at Osawatomie, and he'd always kind of hyperventilated. So his heart rate would go up. He was very, very nervous in new situations and car rides. And so when we moved him from our little red barn to the gray barn, because we found he was really reactive with other dogs, so it made sense to get him a health certificate and then transfer him there. He kind of just had that nervous itch that he couldn't calm down. You know how you build yourself up with anxiety? Some dogs really do get that. And it was just one day, it wasn't even anywhere near what this 100-degree weather was. He went on a very short dog date in a car with air conditioning. They were outside for maybe 5 to 10 minutes, brought him back in, and his body started to shut down. And they noticed the signs right away. So, you know, there's no fault to anyone in any of this. And that's how fast heat stroke can happen, especially with a dog with an underlying condition that we don't know about. And we had literally just taken him to the vet, and the vet said, he's fine. He's just nervous. So you can't anticipate that a dog is going to have a reaction like this. And also, we don't want to, because we did post this and we shared after we lost him. Actually, it was one of the volunteers and one of our staff members. She was doing CPR to him on the way there, and he passed in her arms at blue pearl. Now, in hindsight, 2020s, everybody's, honing in the critics. And that's why I say all the time, that Theodore Roosevelt, unless you're in the arena with people, take it as a grain of salt, because nobody knows your heart. Nobody knows what you're going through. And also, no one ever intends for an animal to suffer, let alone die. And so we watch for these signs now. And we had just taken him to the vet, and the vet has said, it's a new situation. But it's also so important to know that we don't want our dogs to live in a kennel, to live in a box. And we're not going to say, well, you can't do this. You're going to wait to live, wait to be loved, wait to enjoy life until someone comes and fosters or adopts you. Because in Patrick's case, we were it. We were all of the above. We're his family, and he died. Now, we couldn't have predicted the circumstances with him because there was some type of underlying condition. He was a young 5-year-old, beautiful blockhead pit bull, right? And he just had, we thought he just had anxiety. And we had taken him to the vet, and they thought it was just a temperature, and it came down. But this day, somehow, with whatever that was, the heat stroke compiled on that. And we did, in fact, lose him. Now, right now, it's been over 100 degrees, like with the heat index and all that, to where at 5 a.m. when I'm outside with the dogs, I'm soaked in sweat. It's disgusting. Like, you don't want to be out there, and it's not safe to be out there too. So think about dogs that aren't getting the exercise, the physical exercise that they need. Think about how you feel. You go bananas, kind of stir crazy. So we do tons of, enrichment activities and puzzle games, but we can't let them just get fat and then get sick in the summer. So yeah, it's a constant battle, like the yin, the yang, all of this, left, right. What do you do? And compounded even more with Osawatomie, where it's set up like a true shelter. It's just one building, 18 kennels in there. One dog barks, 17 other dogs bark. And then what does that create? Anxiety, stress, chaos for not only the animals, but for our staff there too. And that is everything that we fight against. We want the day-to-day life to be a life worth living. And so I remembered, and this is interesting. I think we did our podcast at the beginning of July, right after Oklahoma City. And it had to have been before July 11th, because I went back through the message groups, and July 11th was a Friday morning. And we do these Tuesday, Friday calls where everybody shares what's going on in our organization across every single aspect of it, dogs, cats. And the theme was our Osawatomie dogs are going crazy. Like they're barking, they're going nuts. And not because they don't have play yards. The play yards are gorgeous. And not because they're not safe in their kennels, not because they're not loved or cared for, but that environment. And so I remember it was actually Herbie. Herbie was the one that kept saying, Herbie's struggling. P.S. Herbie got adopted. He leaves Saturday. So, but the theme was Herbie the Hound was just losing his mind in there, and he couldn't settle. So he barked to the point of panic barking, and panic barking all day. That's unsettling, not only to his soul, but to the souls of everybody else around there. And it was kind of like a light bulb went off, and I thought, what are we doing there? So I created a message group. But here's how none of this was my idea in any sense, because rewind 5 years ago. 5 years ago, before our Homestead East, before everything, Judy creates an idea, and she says, well, why don't we build TK and Copper a tiny home on our property? And I said, no, that's ridiculous. We're going to get our Homestead East on Spring Hill. Let's just wait it out. They'll be fine there. And then we designed a whole plan there. And then everybody forgot. 2 years later, lose the CUP, have no building on our homestead in Spring Hill. And out of the blue, I'm like, Judy, you suggested let's, put TK and Copper a tiny home in Miami County, 200 square feet or under for a shed. You don't need a building permit. I said, why don't we just put them a little tiny home up on Spring Hill? And so that was the very first seed planted. And it was TK and Copper, two dogs that absolutely could not live in a shelter environment, not only because of the dogs and the noise and the stress, but because they were with us forever. And that's not a life that was worth living for them, in our opinion. So we built them a little tiny home. Now, fast forward Osawatomie, I don't think I shared this last time. In Osawatomie, we're an open intake shelter for the city of Osawatomie. What does that mean? It means we take in court cases and bite holds. Now, some of these court cases, they can't be touched because of the severity of what they have done. Now, should they be put to sleep immediately? In my opinion, if that is going to be the end outcome and we're not allowed to touch them till then, I would say without a doubt, send them to heaven. Why make them wait, especially if we can't touch them and care for them and love them?
Mm-hmm.
What happened was, it's a beautiful gray pitty, looked exactly like my Z, waddled in. If I had met this dog off the street, I would think this dog, could be in my home. But what happened was, it came from a very tragic past, and there were triggers, and that sparked something where somebody was severely injured, and then we couldn't touch him. And so the hardest thing for our staff member was to look at this dog every single day, to put him on one side of the guillotine, clean up after him, feed and water, and then switch over and repeat for not only days, but weeks, until the ultimate goal, the end goal, that was the court saying mandated euthanasia. And that's what happened. So now I think we were on one of these Tuesday, Friday calls, and it was actually Miranda that said, well, why don't we build them a tiny home so that at least the end of their life can have a little bit of sunlight? Because remember, they can't be walked and they can't be touched. And from that sparked, again, the conversation. Well, actually, gosh, this story's disjointed, and that's because I'm tired. So bear with me, you guys. So we thought, okay, let's go all in. Let's just put 2 of these little tiny homes up in Osawatomie, and let's get it started. We know we don't need a building permit. We just need to figure out how much it is. Let's raise funds for our court cases.
Mm-hmm.
Got our contractor out, got a bid, $80,000. Heck to the no. Like, that's just insanity. And I said, like $20,000, get us somewhere that is reasonable and that we can do this and give them the life worth living, even if it's the end of their life, because we might be the only ones that they ever know love from. Even if we can't physically touch them with love, they can feel our energy. So that got thrown out the window, and it was a Friday, July 11th. So that dream, again, fell dormant, forgot about it. We're like, oh, we tried, and it's too expensive. So I don't remember the date of that. It was maybe like March-ish or something. And then Herbie's struggling. Friday, July 11th. I don't know any significance of the day other than I know the date because I scrolled back to it. I started a message group. I added me. I added Miranda. I added Kelly, Beth, Ginger, Kathy. I just started adding everyone. And I think the first couple messages were, everybody research. Oh, here's the other step. God plants seeds everywhere. Okay. So bear with me on this. One day, maybe 6 months ago, something like that. So it had to be 6 months ago because we had gotten the bid for this ridiculous price tiny home. And I was out in the middle of Missouri with Beth, and she looks across the street, is like tiny home sheds. And she looks at that and she's like, well, why can't we build those for our dogs? Because they're pre-manufactured. They're already up. And I looked at her and I'm like, yeah, that's a good idea. And then we forgot. So it was like, okay, so God he's like digging and watering, and I'm
trying.
I'm oblivious. It's like, God was trying on this. But July 11th, he finally flipped the switch in my very dark head. And I put the message group together. I said, everyone research tiny homes. I think this was at 9 a.m. I said, let's start a working group. Everybody start researching tiny homes. Let's see how much they are. Let's see which ones are the best ones. And let's have a call at 11 o'clock. I think I started the group at 9 a.m. Our calls on Fridays are at 9 a.m. So I totally wasn't paying attention to our calls. And I'm like, Googling, did you know you can buy tiny homes on Amazon for people? by the way, they're like $10,000. I was like, so I'm sending links to tiny homes and we're all just kind of chit-chatting and the excitement is building. And I'm not even exaggerating. And then I was like, ChatGPT knows everything. So I go to ChatGPT and I'm like, Google, and I like research the best shed tiny homes that are 200 square feet or less within the Kansas City, Missouri area for under $15,000. And then rate the reviews and then suggest them below. The very first one was Midwest Mini Barns. And so I clicked on it and I sent them an email and I said, and barn, of course, like, the bell goes off. Oh, I love barns. Barns are our jam, everything. So I sent him an email and I'm like, my name's Jen. I run an animal rescue. And I was like, I want to reframe how shelters are run because it all connected together now. Because if we're going to give peace to a court case and we've got an adoptable dog that's losing his mind in the shelter, why not just give that to all of them? Get the stress away. And I say this to everyone. If you have ever had a moment in your life where you have like 15 people swarming you, let's just say they're in your house, and like everything inside of you just screams that you want peace, right? But there's always the end game in your mind because you're like, I know they're going to go home. Or if it's like family or friends that stay extended period, and you're like, I just got to survive. I know they're going to leave. I'll have my home back.
Jen at football practice every.
Oh yeah, well that's true. I've survived. But these poor animals, they don't have that end game. They don't have that truth. And we thought, well, why don't we just give it to them? So within a matter of 2 hours, created a working group. I said, well, let's have weekly meetings and calls. It was very noble of me to think I would wait because I sent an email and I said, I want to show the world that shelters can be different. And I would like to potentially purchase 20 little mini barns and, put them throughout our shelter. And we'll put a wall up in between them, which is just like TK and Copper. We'll take everything we learned from TK and Copper and carry those principles in there and how they thrived. And I said, give me your best price on each one and how long it would take. I am talking within seconds. He called me and he's like, I've never had this type of request before. And I wasn't sure if it was real. And then he asked me, he was so amazing. His name's Kelly, Midwest Mini Barns. Asked me a ton of questions, asked me about what we were looking for. We're talking about installation. We're talking about delivery. They build them at their place. They deliver to us. And I was like, I didn't run any of this by the board too. So I don't get to go rogue at all, ever. But in the back of my mind, I was like, you know what? If I buy the first one, they can't say no. So I was like, this is what I'm going to do. And I talked to him. He asked a ton of questions. We chatted for a couple hours back and forth. And then they have that really cool, you can click and design it. So I designed a little white barn and the ceilings are so high. If you guys have seen the pictures, they're like 13 feet high, something so, so cute with black trim everywhere, windows, black door, but a white metal barn, which is kind of a replica of our main building there. And I said, let's do it. Just send me the bill. And it ended up being about $12,000. And I don't have $12,000 in my bank account ever. If I do, I give it to the rescue. So, and they only needed a $2,000 down payment. So I was like, okay, put it on my credit card. And my thought was, I'll just put it on a credit card. And when I get my bonus in February, I'll pay it off and I'll transfer it on the credit card to a credit card with 0 interest. So in my mind, I'm like, okay, this makes sense. I got this. I don't have the money right now, but I got it. And then nobody will be mad because I'll have purchased the first one. And in all honesty, I never would ask someone to do anything that I'm not willing to go all in on as well. So I thought if it's an epic disaster, so be it. I bought a barn and we'll make it a shed. And here's what I can tell you from so that was it. Within 2 hours, I purchased one. We had the support and excitement from others within a week to purchase another one. And exactly 1 month later, we have now had 4 barns, our Osawatomie shelter. And I know I missed stuff in this story. it's not finished inside yet. And we've got to get the electrical up. And that kind of ties to the gala. We had a ridiculous, an absolute ridiculous thermometer where we had an amazing anonymous donor donate up to $20,000 if we met that match for the lighthouses. So at the gala, we didn't have an MC or someone to like get the excitement going. So somehow I ended up with the microphone going around and like asking people to donate in ways that were probably not the best ways. But, it was, and now we have the ability to purchase 2 more. So we have 6 funded. And once we've got an incredible match going on right now, up to $40,000, to where if we meet that match, we will have fully funded all 10 lighthouses at Osawatomie. So here's the amazing part. Once we meet that match, we still need funds for that. Please, please, please donate. Once we meet that match, by the end of September, all 10 of them will be there. And then at the gala, we had an amazing electrical company offered to do the electrical for that. We had a construction company offer to donate their time and their labor with the cement pads. We had a couple cement pads donated. It was just like the energy and the excitement of the dream of peace exploded. And that's the whole thing. It's just the hope and the energy there. And the ultimate goal is to get all of our dogs out of that current shelter, get the kennels out of there, and then make it an adoption center. And so our volunteers can come and they can hang out in their little tiny homes with them. And it really is, it's just a movement, and it's a movement of love. And the coolest part about this is I actually, on our anniversary of our podcast, I went back again and listened to the first one. And I love how our vision expands, but our mission and the foundation doesn't. And that's why we are so rooted in faith. We are so rooted in love that it doesn't matter what direction we go. We're going in the right direction because we're learning from the mistakes. And we are also always pushing ourselves to see what is in the best interest of not only our animals, but our people too. A place where they can go and they can feel peace, because anybody that goes to any shelter that is loud, that is chaotic, you feel that stress too. And all we want to put out in this universe is love and hope and peace and joy. And so it's recognizing that, hey, we went all in on renovating this building, but we can now repurpose it for something even better. We can have birthday parties there. We can have staff meetings there. We can show the world that shelters can be run completely different in so many different ways. So that's kind of the exciting part of Osawatomie. And then here's a really cool segue to our Homestead East and KCMO. Just a week and a half ago, after we did all the plots and stuff of surveys of the land, we found out that we can build in this back area. And we are going to put 20 of these same little mini barns there. And so all we have to do is get the planning commission and city to approve that, which takes probably 3 to 4 months. So we're lining up to get the contractor in place to get those submitted. And then by it's August right now, hopefully by January 2026, we'll have our mini barns up and be in Homestead East. So we will do
That would be
tiny
the
home movements.
Kansas City, the little gray barn dogs getting moved over to there.
Little gray barn dogs finally getting on our 31-acre property in Kansas City, Missouri. And it's just the way I wish I would have done this story justice with not being so tired. But again, it's just the seeds that God has planted along the way and being open to change. And it was one day. It was July 11th, started a working group, went all in on one, had the crazy faith. And then people started to believe, and the momentum of faith, guys, it's contagious, and it's such a beautiful thing. And so once these things are done, here's the really cool part too. If you want to sponsor a lighthouse, you can sponsor one side of the duplex, and then you get your own little sign in front. If you want to sponsor the whole lighthouse, you get 2. Since I sponsored the first one, one side is Libby's Lighthouse and the other side is Muggsy's Lighthouse. So those are my 2, my heart. And the reason that I survived one of the darkest times of my life. So a very small way to keep their memory going. But for one side, it would be 7,500. For both sides is 15,000, because that's just about what it costs all in with the donations that we had of labor. So, and if you don't have the means to do all that, I was literally at the gala. I was like, just put it on a card. You can pay it off next year. Like, don't, it was just ridiculous what I was doing, because I'm like, that's how I think. So I'm like, oh, it's all right. It's for God. It's for the animals. It really is. But, and then, we're going to have benches for each of the little yards, because they're going to be, here's the thing, they're going to be fully fenced in yards. So where you enter a 6-foot black chain link fence, just like the rest of our property, you open the gate to walk in the fence, and then walk up to the barn. And so it's completely secured, 100% all around. And then basically you alternate. So one dog isn't out the same time as the other dog. We don't have dog doors for them to go in and out. For safety purposes, they're never allowed to be outside without our staff there watching them. That's for their safety and for our safety and volunteers' safety too. So all the lessons that we have learned, the mistakes, the things that have worked perfectly, we carried all those principles over to Osawatomie as well as KCMO, and it's just such an exciting time to see. You're yawning, I'm yawning as I talk to. We're all so tired. How is it only 7:30 at night? It feels like midnight. But it really is a great time. And I know we've got Wichita that's about to open. I don't have a bunch of updates on that because we're still waiting on drains to be installed. We've got some plumbing stuff to do. We have the building. We're getting our thoughts organized. But on an upcoming podcast, I'd love for you guys to chat with Greta. She runs our cat program out in Wichita. And what they are going to do with the neonatal kittens out there, it's just going to be one of a kind. And no rescues take on neonatal kittens, because it's 2 to 3 hour feedings 24/7. It's unbelievable amount of work, but the passion and the heart to say, hey, let's try. That's incredible. It's just so incredible when someone steps forward and says, just because everybody else doesn't do it doesn't mean we can't. And I love that. It's probably what I'm most proud of always and forever. Doesn't matter if we fail or succeed. It matters that we have the courage to try. So I know I talked a lot. I don't even know. Hopefully some of that made sense. We have a question. Fire off.
Well, it's not. Can we give a shout out to the crazy cat lady, Beth? And then can we introduce the new cat lady that has taken over?
I took my thought and question right out of my head. Good job.
So Beth did step down from the position, and Elizabeth Elizabeth stepped into her shoes. It's the legacy of love that we have, guys. It's amazing. Again, it really comes down to one person saying, I'm going to try. We didn't have a cat program, when Beth started it, and she literally opened up her home and her heart and said, let's figure this out together. And we had an amazing little surprise party for her where we dedicated the cat barn to her and Minnie Pearl, which was a young little kitten that she lost to heaven that had an extremely special place in her heart. But what Beth has started will live on forever. And that's the beauty of Always and Forever. It's a legacy. It's not one person, it's a movement. And then for her to pass the baton to Elizabeth, to be willing to have the courage to say, Beth's got incredibly big shoes to fill. I'm not even going to try to fill her shoes. I'm going to walk in my own path next to her footprints, and we'll figure out this future together. So that's the really special part of love. I think it just doesn't stop. It keeps going. She might be moving away, but you're always a part of Always and Forever. David is too. We lost David 4 years ago now, 3 years ago. Time is such a funny thing with rescue. Actually, I remember, I think I've shared this before. A friend told me when I was really, really lost in grief and sorrow, she said, time stands still when you grieve, and it flies by when you live. So if you think about that, and you're living and you're doing and you're present, you're going to blink and your life is going to be over. And it's just, I hope that you took the moments to enjoy who you're with, what you're doing, and filling your days with love, because that's the most important part, being fully present. And with the gala, we tried to fill that into the theme and the purpose about living in the now, because this is it. This moment right here. I could have screwed up a million times yesterday, the day before. I screw up every which way. I hurt everyone's feelings unintentionally, unless intentionally, then I immediately apologize. But I'm sure there's some of them that happen out there. But it's forgiving yourself for the mistakes that you made, whether you know them or not, and living in the present, having the courage to go forward with everything that goes wrong. And we have so much go wrong in so many things. And I see it from every aspect of this rescue. And side note on that, I started to write a book about my experiences, how I started this rescue, and kind of really just kind of a guide as to how to start it, how I started it, because I get reached out to all the time. How did I do it? How did I make this happen? And I started a couple lives that I did maybe a few years ago on it. And I always send them out because I would sit with people and I would spend hours and then they'd do nothing. It's like, because, you're either all in or you're not.
We've talked about it a few times on some
Yeah.
podcast episodes.
Yeah. So I started it on Friday and I wrote I wrote the whole book and then I sent it to a little group of people. And then they're like, well, your personal stories are so good, you got to add more events. So then I started writing more personal stories. And then I'm like, well, this book just took a turn. Like, it's not a how to start a rescue. This is like all
Just
over
like our
place.
podcast.
No, it is. So I was like, I'm going to get it out. It might be terrible at first, but that doesn't scare me. Kind of like I just had my pickleball court finished in Wichita. For those that are not aware, we rented a side of the warehouse in Wichita, and Kathy and I tried so hard to get the whole building for Always and Forever because I just want to save more animals. But it was too expensive for our rescue to take on. It was a scary endeavor, and our board has a fiduciary duty to make sure that we're not draining the resources of our rescue. But something in me knew that we were meant to have that space. And so we rented 3,000 square feet, basically the right side of the building. And I didn't want some strange tenant in the other left side of the building. So I was like, I pitched this to the board. I said, well, let's rent that side and make it a pickleball court, and then use all of the proceeds of that, make it a private membership pickleball court, all of the proceeds to fund the rescue. And then it was like crickets. Like, nobody even responded when I threw that idea out there. Like, not even an acknowledgement of, hey, Jen, you're crazy. I think it was the silent, is she really this crazy? So nobody acknowledged it. And then the very next day I called my dad. I said, hey, I have this idea. Why don't we rent this warehouse? And then all the proceeds that I get will go to Always and Forever. And I said, do you want to help me with this? And he said, of course. And so I started an LLC and I rented that side of the building, and all of the proceeds will go to Always and Forever. And the court just got finished this weekend. Once again, I have no idea what I'm doing, but I shall figure it out along the way. And, even if we have pickleball parties there, if the dogs are over there, that's the whole thing. I want it to be a place where people want to be and bring people in to see our animals, because life is too short not to have joy in it. And that's the goal. I find the most joy in my life knowing that I contributed to someone else's joy. So that's the Little Big Paws pontoon. That's the ridiculous outings that we do, the parties. And again, it's all selfish when you think about it, because you get so much back when you give.
I love it.
Keep talking, guys. I think I talk too much on this one.
The point of these ones for you to get us caught up on everything.
Try to think. I think I got you caught up on everything.
Yeah, that was like 40 minutes in itself, basically.
All in
one breath.
It was. I might have slowed down for a second. I don't know.
Jen.
Yeah.
There's a dog at Little Gray Barn that's behind the laundry room in the back corner. Black. Is that Fletcher?
Fletcher, yes.
And then there's Sally Mae.
Fletcher, Sally Mae, Shep, Titus.
chaotic back there. But the reason why I bring that up is we need a dog for the cover, and I really liked those two when I went out there last weekend.
Okay, Fletcher came to us from Oklahoma City. Super, super cute little guy. Who was the other one? Sally Mae?
I think it was Sally Mae, but Sally
Okay.
Mae and me, I was like trying to connect with her, but I'm like, my middle name is Sally.
Well, Sally Mae, if you guys remember when it was about -10, -15,
Was that Sally Mae?
that was Sally Mae. Her owner drove her and another dog. And this is how we know. A neighbor saw this. A little blue minivan pulled up into the country in Lewisburg, opened the minivan, and pushed the two dogs out. And from that moment, they posted all over Facebook, taking pictures of them. And anytime someone would walk up to Sally, she would growl and then run. And this was when at the nights it would get -10, something like that. But from the day we found out, Casey Trappers went out there, and first of all, they're amazing. They're 100% volunteer, and they actually know what they're doing. The day that we found out, I think it was me, Beth, Summer, Sammy might have gone. There were quite a few of us. We were literally just walking the fields, and we're talking 20 acres, and you're walking in the cold to where you can't breathe and you can't feel your extremities. And the whole time we're thinking, she's dead. Like, we're going to find her. We just need to find her. And I think it was like 6 days. It took us 6 days to find her. I don't know how she survived. But she has severe trust issues. So she's very slow to warm up to new people, especially men. Which is interesting because it was a woman that pushed her out of the car. But also, we don't know. I mean, we could guess what she came from. But the sad part was the first couple days, both dogs would sit and wait by the spot that they were dumped. So to the people that threw them out of the minivan, they came there, they sat there, and they waited for them to come back. And when any stranger would come up, they would run away, not knowing that their life was in danger. Oh gosh, even Ken, Miami County Sheriff's Office came out looking. Like, everybody came in, and we were just walking around. And then Casey Trapper said, stop, you're scaring her away. Let's put traps up. And then, I would go and buy rotisserie chicken, and I'm probably feeding the deer or coyotes or something as I'm throwing chicken everywhere. But we learned a lot from that. We met a lot of really great people. And ultimately, for the individuals that dumped her in the country, there were so many more individuals praying nonstop and actually physically walking the area. I wish someone would see beyond Sally's fears. And also, I think that actually has a lot to do with the environment too. She's sitting next to other screamers. So think about these lighthouses where she can know peace. She can know consistency. Consistency is so important with potentially reactive dogs because they know who's coming. They can see someone's coming, and like, they have their safe place too. And so when you have a bunch of screaming dogs around each other, it's very hard to say, you're safe, you have peace, trust me, on top of all this screaming. Here's my hand, here's a leash, let me drag you out. So there's just so many things that we can do to give them a better quality of life. But Sally Mae, once she knows you, oh my God, she's just her sweet little soul. When we met her at Blue Pearl that night, when they finally caught her, she's so forgiving. Now, she might not be trusting, but she's forgiving. To know what she went through just from that incident, you can't help but want her to have her happy ending. But that's what we want for everyone. But also, we know we might not get that for all of our dogs. So we got to find a way to give them the very best life possible now. And that's what our lighthouses are at all of our locations. If our darn neighbors in Spring Hill, I'd put lighthouses in all in our homestead here, everywhere. It's a beautiful thing to think and know that you can give an animal peace, because it's really, really rare in America in our shelters.
Sally Mae it is.
Sally Mae's guard dog, for sure. Anything else?
Oh, there's a lot more. There's a ton more.
Jiggy, go on. Hello.
Yeah, you better stop me. Because there's a lot.
To be continued.
Hey, the last thing I think I should say is none of this happens without all of the most amazing people believing that anything is possible. And I think I know I said this before, having the courage to try and to fail, that is a really, really amazing thing. Because so many people let fear paralyze them. And I can't even count how many times we have failed. I can't even count how many horrible ideas I have had, and I still share them with everyone. And I do. Like half of them are like real estate related too, because I'm always like, that looks like a really great property, and it's like a decrepit old dingy vet office, and but you got to be able to see things beyond what currently exists, because that's how we create a different and better and amazing future. And so, to all of you guys who follow us on social media, who listen to these chaotic podcasts where I'm exhausted and mumbling on my words, you are the reason that our doors stay open. It's the people. It's the people who love and support and pray for us. Honestly, we are not a religious organization, but we are very deeply rooted in our faith, whatever it is to you, whatever that means. I've had people message me and say, I feel awful. You're always asking for money. I can't donate. I give what I can, but I pray. And I'm like, you know what? Here's the beauty of Always and Forever. You don't have to give us millions. We don't even have that. We have everyone giving what they can and us being a movement. Because if we had one person give us 20 million, if you're out there, give us 20 million. If you got it, you could do it. But here's what I can tell you. You don't get to make decisions about how we run. You don't get to tell us what to do. And you can allocate where you want the funds to go. But our foundation, our roots, and our mission are never influenced by money. Because it's all of us. It's all of ours. It doesn't matter if it's $5. It doesn't matter if it's $5 million. It's the faith, it's the love, and it's the collaboration of us coming together and saying, we're going to find a way to make this better simply by trying. That's it.
I love it. Sai, do you have anything else?
Nope. Jen, thank you for sharing.
No, thanks for having me. Hey, I'm going to get you guys a bunch of different guests. I just sent your schedule around, and I want to have Megan and Bailey on here so they can talk about really the dogs at the Little Gray Barn and the future of Kansas City, Missouri. I want to get Greta on with the neonatal kittens. I want to get Kelly and Craig on with intake. We got a whole new cat team too. Love to get some cat fosters on here. That's the really cool part of the goodbye party with Beth. You just get to see a lot of different people too and meet them. A lot of exciting stuff. Miranda will get on here. Judy, Jane, Connie, they like to be in person because apparently you guys drink with that. So if I don't know, I've heard rumors. So
We enjoy a glass of wine. It makes the guests more comfortable.
Okay. All right. So whenever that one is, they would like to have wine involved. But yeah, just a lot of exciting stuff ahead. It really
Did
is.
we wrap this up as the end of season 3 and start the next one as season 4?
Let's do that. I think that makes sense.
We've had quite enough episodes this year already. I think that we did this last year too.
I thought we were on season 5. I don't know how our seasons work. We're on a million different seasons, and
it's been 3 years, so it's almost like football seasons. Like I've been with the Chiefs for 7 years, but I'm going into my 8th season. So like we just finished 3 years, so we're going into our 4th season.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Sounds good.
All right. Wrap her up, Sai.
As always, it's never too late for happily ever after.